Welcome to our exploration of the remarkable alignment between the Quran and modern embryology. Now, when we talk about alignment, we're not just talking about vague similarities. We're talking about precise descriptions of fetal development revealed over 1400 years ago, long before the invention of microscopes or ultrasounds. Today we'll delve into the stages of fetal development as described in the Quran, specifically in Surah Al-Mu'minun, verses 12, 13, and 14. Allah said, "And indeed, we created humankind from an extract of clay, then placed each human as a sperm drop in a secure place. Then we developed the drop into a clinging clot, then developed the clot into a lump of flesh, then developed the lump into bones, then clothed the bones with flesh, then we brought it into being as a new creation. So blessed is Allah, the best of creators." Prepare to be amazed as we uncover the connection between these verses and modern science. Our journey begins with the very first stage of human development, described in the Quran as nutfa, meaning a drop of fluid. Now think about this. Over 1400 years ago, the Quran identified the humble beginnings of human life as a tiny droplet. Today we know this droplet as the fertilized egg, formed when a sperm cell, a microscopic entity carrying half the genetic blueprint of a human being, fuses with an egg cell, its counterpart in this miraculous dance of creation. But it's not just the identification of this initial stage that's fascinating. The Quran goes on to describe this nutfa as originating from an extract of clay. We know now that the human body, just like the earth itself, is composed of various elements, many of which are found in clay. The Quran offers a cosmic perspective on our origins, reminding us that we are literally created from clay. The Quran then takes us to the next stage of development, describing the transformation of the nutfa into alaka. Now, alaka is a fascinating word with multiple meanings, all of which paint a vivid picture of the embryo at this stage. Alaka can mean a clinging substance, a leech-like structure, or even a blood clot. Let's break that down. Imagine the newly formed embryo, barely a cluster of cells, making its way down the fallopian tube to finally attach itself to the uterine wall. This clinging, this desperate hold for survival is captured perfectly by the word alaka. Then there's the visual. If you've ever seen a leech, you know it has this elongated, somewhat translucent body, not unlike the embryo at this stage. And finally, the blood clot reference. At this point in development, the embryo is surrounded by a pool of blood, essential for its nourishment and growth. So, here we have the Quran, using a single word to convey not one but three distinct characteristics of the embryo at this specific stage, characteristics that were only confirmed centuries later with the advent of modern embryology. As we move on to the next stage, the Quran describes the alaka transforming into mugga, which translates to a chewed-like substance. Now you might be thinking, a chewed-like substance? What does that even mean? But think about it. At this stage, the embryo is undergoing rapid cell division and differentiation. It's a little cluster of cells folding in on itself, forming tiny bumps and grooves, resembling something that's been chewed on. And here's where it gets really interesting. The Quran specifically mentions the development of somites during this mugga stage. Now, somites are these segmented blocks of tissue that eventually give rise to the vertebrae and muscles. It's like the Quran is highlighting a key milestone in the development of the spinal cord, the very structure that will house the central nervous system, the command center of the human body. The Quran then takes us through the next critical phase, the formation of bones and flesh. It states, "Then we made from the lump bones and we covered the bones with flesh." Now imagine for a second you're living in 7th century Arabia. You have no access to microscopes, no ultrasounds, no way to peer inside a mother's womb. Yet, here's the Quran, laying out the sequence of development with astonishing accuracy. First comes the skeletal framework, and then comes the flesh, the muscles, and the organs that will clothe those bones. It's like watching a sculptor at work, meticulously molding clay, adding layers upon layers until a masterpiece emerges. And that's exactly what's happening inside the womb. A symphony of cellular processes orchestrated with breathtaking precision. And so we arrive at the final stage of this miraculous journey. The Quran describes it as, "Then we developed him into another creation. So blessed is Allah, the best of creators." The embryo, once a tiny droplet, has now transformed into a fully formed human being, ready to emerge into the world, and it's not just the physical development that's emphasized here. The Quran uses the phrase another creation, hinting at the development of the soul, the consciousness, the very essence of what it means to be human. It's like the Quran is telling us that there's more to us than just flesh and bone. There's a spark of the divine within each of us, a reminder of our interconnectedness with the cosmos. These Quranic descriptions align closely with modern scientific discoveries in embryology, demonstrating the precision of divine knowledge. It's a powerful testament to the greatness of the Creator, the might of Allah. Who informed Muhammad about the stages of fetal development at a time when technology, microscopes, and embryology did not exist? It is Allah, the All-Knowing. Allah said in Suratu Az-Zumar Ayah 62. Allah is the creator of all things, and He is the maintainer of everything. Thank you for joining us in this fascinating journey through the stages of fetal development as described in the Quran. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more insightful content.